Hey everybody, welcome to a very different video. This is not a video that I planned on making or, have thought a whole lot about making in the past. This is a video that is entirely in response to a question that I have gotten over and over again the past 2 weeks from colleagues of mine, other pastors, church leaders, and people trying to navigate this new life that we find ourselves in, this new normal. The question that I have gotten is, how do you make your YouTube videos? How do you make your videos for YouTube and Facebook online platforms? And so I want to talk about that today and give you some tips and tricks of how you can do it starting today for under $100, because I think it can be as easy or as complicated as you want to make it and as you're prepared to learn. I will say this, that I've worked as a photographer in the past, but I am not a professional videographer. Like, they taught me how to be a pastor, not how to record videos. And so this is stuff that I've figured out. This is stuff that I have learned in my spare time on YouTube from other YouTubers, primarily Peter McKinnon and Maddie Hapoya. I'm gonna link their channels below. They are great people to follow for excellent tips, tricks, tutorials, all of those things that you need to know in order to make great YouTube videos. This is just what works for me. This is my setup, what I use, and what I think you, if you are a church leader, pastor, should start using right now to help navigate the next little while. So I'm gonna actually switch and show you my perspective and then walk through some of my stuff that I use. But before I do that, I need to get this lens off this camera and put it on another camera so I can film it. All right, so you are now seeing my view, what I see when I sit down to record a video for YouTube. What I want to do is just walk you through what I use. This is my setup. It's always evolving. So basically, right now in March 2020, this is what I'm using. Obviously, you're going to need a computer to do your editing. I would also recommend some storage, some hard drives, because video takes up a lot of space. But I'm assuming if you're watching this, you already have that piece squared away. So, number one, the camera that I'm using primarily right now is the Canon EOS R. It is a great camera for this type of content, and it sits primarily on this Vanguard tripod with like a fluid kind of video style head. But for the most part, it doesn't move. And so it makes it very easy to just sit down and hit record and start recording a video. So the Canon EOS R, it normally has my 16 to 35 f4L lens by Canon. That's actually what I'm using right now, what you're looking through. So that's normally the lens that sits on this camera. And then I just pop on the Rode video mic to the top of the camera just to help sync the audio in post-production. Speaking of audio, that's where this guy comes in. This is right here, the Rode NTG4 Plus. This is an excellent microphone. It's a shotgun mic or boom mic, and it gets really clear audio. Okay, one thing I want to say about audio is that whether you use a microphone like this, the Rode NTG4 Plus, or whether you use a microphone like I have currently on the camera, the Rode Video Micro, which, as you see, is going to be the microphone that I suggest for you, it's very important that the microphone is as close to you as possible without being in the screen, in the shot. So you can see here that if I swing around, like the microphone is fairly close to where when I sit, my head is. And so the closer you can get that microphone to your voice or to the subject, the better your audio is gonna be. I've got this guy connected down here into the Zoom H4n Pro. That's a dedicated audio recorder. Now, here's the thing. I would not recommend this audio setup, this microphone into a dedicated recorder for someone who is new, especially new to editing. Editing's not something that we're going to cover in this video. I use Premiere Pro to edit. If you have a MacBook or any Mac computer, you can use something even as simple as iMovie is going to allow you to do this. If you're recording on your phone, you can even use the Photos app just to do little snippets and like clips. But the more robust program you have, obviously the more capabilities, but also the higher the learning curve, or the steeper the learning curve. And so I use Premiere Pro by Adobe. It's a phenomenal program. There's a lot of great tutorials online, again, in those channels linked below. But this, if you record audio, you're going to have to sync up your audio with your video in post. It's just one more step that I don't think you need to do. But if you have a little bit more experience, and for the sake of showing you what I use, this is how I do it, and this is what's going to give you the best audio. Now, as for lighting, you can see this main light right here. This is my key light. And when I'm sitting down at my chair, okay, this light hits me at 45-degree angle. So I'm sitting here, the camera's pointed at me, the light is off camera here at 45 degrees if this is 0. This is the light that I use right here. This light is the Godox SL60W. You can get this on Amazon. It is it's a great LED light. It's not super expensive. It's running through a softbox. What a softbox is it's a diffuser. So softbox, it's got one diffuser here and one diffuser here that takes the light and softens it so that it's not harsh on your face. It's trying to make it as natural as possible. All right, this is my second light up here. This light I'm using for a completely wrong purpose. This is my fill light. It kind of fills the scene in a little bit. It's a ring light. I'm using it in completely not the right way at all, but it's what I have, so it's what I use. That I have lighting the backdrop, okay? So this wall is my backdrop. These items on the shelves have become kind of like my backdrop. And what I don't want are like really harsh, so see how harsh shadows. I don't want harsh shadows on this wall. So what that light does is it helps fill in the scene, remove shadows that would be cast from the key light over here. Okay, so now that you have seen my basic setup, a couple things that I want to say. I shoot this in my basement. This is just a wall. It was here when we got here. I said, that's cool, I'll use it. And so set up my desk in front of the wall, put those shelves up. So if you look back at the first videos that I've done, no shelves in it. I thought, that's a little boring. Let's put up some shelves and include some other things there. As I was walking around, you probably saw like there's some boxes and storage, and there's a treadmill that I'm using currently to try and, not completely lose it while we're on this self-isolation kick. And there's a bed down here. Like we've got a futon. We use this as our like second guest bedroom area. So like it doesn't have to be a dedicated space. Probably one of your best spots to do this is gonna be your front sitting room or family room, like something with a big window. I'll show you why a little bit later. But now what we're gonna talk about is not the stuff that I use, but the stuff that you need if you want to start on YouTube, because it is surprisingly easy to start, okay? The first thing you need is a YouTube account. All you need to have a YouTube account is a Gmail account. So if you don't have a Gmail account, go and create one. You can use that to sign into Google, or to sign into YouTube rather, and then from there you just create your channel or your church's channel. Many churches already have channels. And then you can decide wherever else you want to put your content, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever social media platforms you want to use from there. Okay, so you need a Gmail account to sign in to YouTube and create a channel. Next, we talked about cameras. So you need a camera. Now, the beautiful thing about the day and age where we live in is that these cameras are coming down in price. It is surprisingly affordable to get yourself a great camera. Canon makes awesome cameras that I absolutely love. You can look at something like the 80D or even like a used 70D if you want to buy something like this, a digital SLR. Sony also makes some excellent mirrorless cameras like the A6400, A6500, that series. I have friends who use those. I've used them in the past. They are great cameras. Personally, I like the color that comes out of Canon, as well as the lenses. For me, it was all about the glass. When I switched from Nikon, what I originally learned photography on, to Canon, which is a big switch, but I sold all my Nikon gear and I jumped ship. I changed over to Canon, bought all the Canon gear. And because I was looking for one camera that could do everything, I wanted something that I could take with me that would do video and photos both very well. So do I have the best video camera? No, absolutely not. Do I have the best photography camera? No, absolutely not. But I wanted one platform that I could use for both really well. For me, that was Canon. Also, just the people who I learned from on YouTube primarily use Canon. I'm gonna link their channels below too, because I'll maybe take this second to say anything that I say that's right or smart, chances are it's not my own idea. I've learned this from guys like Peter McKinnon. I'll link his channel below on YouTube, and Matti Hapoya. They are great people to go and follow. They have awesome tutorials to teach you everything you need to know if this is the direction you're gonna go. And even if it's not, they've got some really good tips for you. So that is one option, all right? The second option is that every single one of you, well, I mean, most of you have in your pocket one of the most powerful pieces of technology of your lifetime and my lifetime, and that is your smartphone. I've got an iPhone, and I use this a lot because, let's be honest, walking around with a big camera like this is a little bit strange. People look at you funny. And so actually, truth be told, I'm still getting used to it. But especially, when you add a microphone on top of it like this, and maybe you have a little bit bigger of a lens, like it looks big. You can use your phone. So that's the easiest and cheapest and quickest way for you to start recording videos is use the phone you already have, okay? Use what's in front of you. If you're gonna use your phone, and let's talk about that for a little bit, okay? There are a few things that I would recommend. The first thing is don't use the selfie camera. This is great for like quick shots, great for, just, hey, you and your buddy want to take a quick photo or a quick video. Don't use it for this video. So this right here, you don't want to be using that one, okay? The video quality on your back rear-facing camera is far, far better. And so it may take a little bit extra time, but set your phone up on a tripod so that you compose your shot in the screen, you hit record, and then you walk into the scene, you sit down, and you start recording. You start your whatever, if it's a message, if it's a video announcement to your congregation, to your people, if it's something for YouTube like a tutorial, you sit and you record it. And then afterward, you go in and you edit that video. You edit out the beginning and you edit out the end. That's gonna give you way better video than anything else you could use. So phone is your quickest and easiest way to start recording video. What would I recommend if you are going to use your phone? Well, the first thing that I would recommend is a tripod. So you can get something like this guy here. This is a Joby GorillaPod. You can use this to hold your camera out like this as you're walking around, just to get it a little bit further away from your face. That's great because it doesn't feel like, you're stuck like this walking around and you can't see what's going on. Or you can set this up and compose your shot and then talk into your camera, okay? If you're gonna do that, you need something like this little guy here. This is a Manfrotto phone clamp. So literally your phone just clamps in here. And then this guy screws onto any standard tripod screw. Okay, and then that is your video setup. Okay, so that's very simple, very easy. The reason I like this Manfrotto selection here, or little guy, whatever it's called, this clamp, is because, like I said, video is not the most important thing in a video. What I mean by that is video quality is not your most important thing. You and I, we're not videographers. We haven't gone to school. Well, I mean, maybe you are and you're watching this. If you are, I don't know why you're watching this. But for the most part, those of you who have asked, and myself, like, they taught us how to be pastors, not how to do YouTube and record videos for the internet. So we're not as concerned about super cinematography. We're not concerned about awesome video footage. We want our message, our content to come across. And the number one thing you need in order to get your message across is good audio. So video, whether you choose to use a camera like this or your phone like this, you need to get a microphone. And I would recommend this little guy here. This is the Rode Video Micro, and it connects to your phone. It is great. It also connects to pretty well any digital SLR camera, as long as you have a microphone input. In order to do that, you need to get a cable called a TRRS cable. And then for me, I have to have one of these little guys because Apple got rid of the headphone jack. So I've got my microphone connects into my adapter, and that connects into my cell phone. And then the great thing, like I said, about this little clamp from Manfrotto is that you can screw the microphone onto the clamp. So now I've got one unit. Again, it looks a little big, but this is going to give you great video and great audio. This is all you need. This little setup here is absolutely it. You can do it for under $100 today if you use your phone. And like I said, it is going to give you excellent audio, great video, and it's going to allow you to get your messages out, whether that's your Sunday sermon or video announcements, even just to connect with your church and your congregation as we all try to navigate the next few weeks. All right, the last thing I want to do is take you upstairs because we've covered video and now we've covered audio, but we haven't covered lighting. The last thing I'm going to suggest is that you don't need to go out and buy any lights. I want to keep this as cheap as possible for you. And so we are going to run upstairs to film the very last portion of this video. All right, so for the very last portion of this video, or at least the tutorial section of the video, I just want to show you how easy it is to get good lighting. So I'm upstairs, no lights are on in this room. All I'm doing is sitting beside a window. So I've got, if I spin you around here, natural light coming in this window, again, at roughly 45-degree angle. If you want to know, I'm actually sitting right at my kitchen table here. And it just happens that there's a painting here, a group of 7 painting, which gives you a little bit of something else in your shot. So the camera isn't on a tripod. The camera is actually sitting on a Jenga box, not like the Jenga pieces, but a Jenga box. And I've got a window here. All I'm using is the camera and the microphone. That is it. And you get good lighting, you get great audio, and you get really, really good video. So it is as easy as this. The other thing that I will say at this point is Videos like this, I think, are probably really good for us as church leaders, because we can continue to try to offer, the top quality as best as we can get, services and sermons, messages, all that kind of stuff. But that doesn't really capture the reality of the situation that we're in. I think that you sitting talking to your camera that's propped up on a Jenga box or cereal box at your kitchen table is probably better than you going all the way to a church building to record and to make everything. This is a perfect example. You can hear my daughter in the background. But I think this captures more of the reality for all of us than simply recreating services. So with that, we're gonna go back downstairs and I'm gonna talk more about a few things that we need to do, especially using video during this time that we find ourselves in. Okay, well, we are back downstairs. So again, just to recap what you need to start shooting videos today, you need a camera or your phone. You need a tripod, something to set your camera on, or like we saw, a Jenga box, something that is sturdy enough to hold your camera. And if you're gonna use your phone, you need a little clip. Again, I would recommend the Manfrotto. All of these items are gonna be linked down below in the description of this video. Something to put your phone onto a tripod, like this little Joby tripod, or a full tripod. This will fit on either of them. And then lastly, you need one of these, a microphone. I would recommend, again, the Rode Video Micro. It comes with this guy, which is called a dead cat. This just flits over the microphone, and it really prevents wind noise. That didn't do anything. This isn't even plugged in. But especially if you're going to be filming in different locations, like if you have a full house, a family, and you want to go out to your backyard, as long as we're all still able to do that, this is going to help you do that nice and easily and still get good audio without a lot of wind noise. Now what I want to do is talk a little bit, not about the how, but about the why. Why video? Why would we continue to offer content in this way to the church and to a broader audience? The first thing that I want to say is it's not simply to recreate our Sunday services. One of the things that we've done at the church where I pastor, at Knox Church, is we've scaled down what we offer online. And so if you call Knox home, you'll know that from our videos, we really have pared down our services. There are 3 songs, there's a message, and there's a prayer. That is it. Because you really need to scale and tailor your content to this platform. And so I think that what we should not try to do is recreate our Sunday services. Don't just do things as if they were happening regularly, because they're not. They're not happening regularly. This is a weird and bizarre and every other synonym you can think of time for us as leaders and for everybody. And so we don't just want to recreate church services as if they were still happening, because they're not still happening. We want to create content specifically for this platform. And that's going to allow people to still hear the message of the gospel and hear the hope of the gospel only through their TV or phone or tablet, computer, wherever they're watching it. And so create content that is specific to digital platforms. With that, I think it's very important, and I've tried this a little bit and then also gotten some advice from others. It's very important for you to talk to the camera. You can even see when I look over here, I'm now looking at this little flip out screen beside the camera. That's me. I get to see the scene just to make sure I'm actually in it and not, cutting my head off. But that's different. Like, I'm now talking off camera, as opposed to now when I'm talking straight to the lens, It looks like I'm looking right at you. It's closer to a face-to-face conversation. So don't look off screen. Don't preach as if people are in the room. I did that the first week, and then I tried speaking straight to the camera for week 2, and I gotta tell you, for me, it felt weird to preach straight to the camera, but I think the overall result was better and something that people are gonna connect with easier than if I had been, preaching as if they were all sitting in their normal seats, because they weren't. This gets closer to face, which is really, at the end of the day, what we want. So speak straight down the barrel of the camera. As awkward as it is, fight the urge to look off screen. I still do it. It's hard not to. So don't beat yourself up, but just sit down, look at the camera, and talk into the camera as if you were talking to somebody face to face. That's gonna be your best bet. Okay, 2 more things, and then we're done for this video. And the second to last thing is, I think this gives us such a freedom and amazing opportunity to be creative. Because what is the goal for you and I as pastors and preachers and teachers of the Bible primarily? It's that people would become more like Jesus. Like, that is something that we long for. And so we long that the way we talk about Jesus encourages people to become more like Jesus. We long for the way we preach from the scripture to actually challenge people to become more like Jesus. And we create environments and opportunities and content that hopefully we pray into, God using in that person's life to speak to them. And so this is a great opportunity for us to continue to do that. But I don't think that this is where it ends. It can't end here. The goal for us as church leaders isn't just to create more content. The goal for us is to encourage and challenge and mobilize our congregations. Because at the end of the day, the church is going to be remembered for the way we respond to this crisis. And so providing content like this, I believe, is crucial. But I was even just having a conversation this morning with someone who said that exact thing, that the way the church will be remembered is not that we were able to continue meeting and continue having virtual services. That's not the end goal. The end goal is that people would become more like Jesus and do the things Jesus did. What did Jesus do? Jesus was with those who were poor in spirit and poor in money, actually impoverished, who didn't have what they needed. Jesus spent time with the sick. Jesus helped those who were in need. He healed the sick, right? He raised the dead. Now, here's the really important thing that you and I need to take into consideration. We can't encourage our people to go and be with those who are sick. We need to be responsible citizens. And so for sure, you and I in our congregations, in our churches, we have people who are frontline healthcare professionals. For them, we pray and pray and pray. But for the rest of us, what can we continue to do beyond that? We can continue to do things like provide food, partner with organizations who are continuing to give food out to families who are in need. A great example of that in Hamilton is Food for Kids. Food for Kids continues to offer gift cards to families in need because the schools are closed where those families would have typically gotten a lot of their meals. So Food for Kids, they're doing great things. Local food banks, we can partner with them and make sure they've got food and gift cards to continue to give away, because we know that this is a significant time of need. And this content that we provide isn't just a way to continue getting our message out or the Bible's message out, Jesus's message out. It is a way that we can leverage people's energy and resources to help those in need. I spoke to one church leader. Their church is looking at how they can sew masks. We're running out of masks, and doctors, nurses, paramedics, healthcare providers don't have the equipment that they need. That's one way that church has decided to try to help. They're figuring out how to make masks, and they're partnering with people who know exactly what to do and know the standards in order to do that. But that's what they've decided to do. That's one way that they're trying to figure out how to mobilize their people and their resources. That message coming from the lead pastor is going to have a lot more influence in the congregation than it would coming from anybody else on staff. And I don't say that to diminish anybody else's role. I just say that when a lead pastor of a church says something, it is heard with a certain tone. And so this becomes the way in which we can mobilize people to do things like that. If you're in an area that historically and has always struggled with providing enough food for families, an area that is maybe impoverished or close to a food desert, that might be something that you look into doing. How can we partner with organizations to get food into the hands of those who need it most? So this is a tool. Think about it as one tool in your toolbox. We hope and pray that eventually we will be able to meet in person again in the near future. Like, that's the direction we are praying and trusting that we are headed. Thanks in large part to very good response from our healthcare professionals. And so this is, again, it's just one way to mobilize your people. So that was the second to last thing. The last thing that I want to say is simply a word of encouragement to you. I am praying for you. I'm in it with you. We are all learning and adapting to this new reality together. It may seem daunting, but I promise you, one of the best things that you can do is let your people see a non-anxious presence. Let your people see a leader who for sure is acknowledging the reality and acknowledging the propensity toward fear and anxiety and acknowledging the hope of the gospel in the face of that in person, as it were, as close to face as possible.
Hey, this is Future Grant. I'm actually editing the video right here. One of the things that I wanted to say, just as I was thinking through what's important for you to hear, is that this is a really good opportunity to share your real life with your people. One of the things that can often happen when we preach, like primarily as pastors, the only time or the main time that people see you is when you're preaching. And that's often really polished and thought through, like you've prepared, you've written some notes, at least maybe even a full manuscript, you're dressed up, or you're at least on your best behavior. It is a polished version of ourselves. And I think what people need to see and hear in times like these is that you and I, pastors, are normal people. We have normal problems. We struggle with the same thing. We maybe, are struggling to stay active and feel like, being cooped up is draining on you physically. Maybe you're having trouble keeping or finding a rhythm of spirituality. Like, how are you spending time with Jesus? And this is a really great opportunity to share that. This is a really great opportunity to give people a little bit more of a look into your life. And it's going to help people feel connected, and it's going to let them know that we really are all in this together. Because the thing about crises is that they have a propensity to isolate people, right? And so to add on top of that, this social distancing piece, people feel isolated. They're feeling the anxiety about that. And connecting with a real person is going to help them feel like there are other people in it with them. So use this as an opportunity to get creative. Don't just make your content about teaching. Make your content about sharing real life. If you want an example, it's not a perfect example, but if you want an example, go and look at my channel for the video called Weekly Vlog 1 What are we going to do? That's the weekly vlog that I recorded a couple weeks ago as we were wrestling through the idea of shutting down in-person services and in-person programs at the church. So it's a few weeks old now. I go to a restaurant, you know, my wife and kid and I end up at Boston Pizza. You know, obviously that wouldn't be happening anymore, but it's just an example. If you want a really good person who is a pastor, church planter, and YouTuber to go and follow, look up a guy named Trey Van Camp, and I'm actually going to link his channel in the description below as well. Trey is a friend, and he does this whole thing, YouTube, exceptionally well. He shares his life, shares his family life, his journey in ministry with everyone, with the world. And so look him up, go watch a few of his videos. I think it'll be worth your time just to give you some ideas of how to get really creative with your content over the next few weeks. Because the other thing is, I don't know about you, but I get bored if I'm just doing the same thing over and over and over again. So, you know, this just gives you an opportunity to change it up a bit. So head over, look up my weekly vlog number 1. Go take a look at that just for some ideas, and go look up Trey Van Camp. You're going to get a lot of ideas from him as well. So that's it. Back to the edit. Again, I'm not sure where I'll put this in the video, but I just thought it was worth saying.
That's it. Those are my thoughts on why we do this and why we continue to do video, the value of it, and how you can do it today for under $100.